But what makes a funnel so good is so many people rely on their website, and funnels aren't website killers to where we say you don't need a website. Websites are great for showing credibility, but at the most, they're pretty much a glorified business card. So I say, yeah, keep your website for your Google business when people like search you and all of that. But when you need a marketing tool, a funnel's the best way to attack getting leads and being strategic. The reason why I say that is because a funnel is set up and each page has one strategic action, and we funnel them through an organic process that's natural to like when we go shop at a store or buy something. When you go to the issue is with the website is you've got all these links everywhere, right? And then you're thinking like, okay, they're going to like call me or reach out or buy something. But a lot of times people come to the website, they look around and they window shop and get out the door. The thing with a funnel is like, I like to say it plays offense and defense. So what we like to do is use super strong headlines on our opt-in page to do our best to retrieve that phone number, that email, and the name. Then it'll take them to another page that presents them with whatever strategy we're trying to show them, whether that be a free product, a training, now possibly buying an ebook, whatever it may be. But the good thing about that is if they decide to exit, if they decide to leave and not continue going through the funnel, defense now kicks in and we now start nurturing that client through email automations, bringing them back to whatever we want to do. And you can see the stark difference of how a website doesn't really do that. So to break down an objection belief, I like to tell people this one's like, people say, well, I got a little pop-up with Privy that pops up on my website. Here's the issue with that. The issue with that is we're coming to your store or your online real estate, which is your website, and we're immediately presented with an offer. So it's like if you walk in the store and they're like, we got jeans for sale. You want them? You're like, not yet. I just want to look around. So you click the X button to get rid of it, but that pop-up never really reappears. So when I leave, you never got anything from me. There's no way of following back up with me, someone who was interested. So that's the big difference of why a funnel is just better than a website.
Nice. And you already started out with giving us all the game on the funnel. So we're going to break down a couple of these things throughout the podcast episode. But going back a little bit, how did you get into funnels and what was the, probably the most important thing about learning funnels and really mastering this for you and your business?
Yeah. So talking just about entrepreneurship and pitfalls, I started doing graphic design when I was 18, making party flyers. I wanted to build like my own brand for a website I was trying to do. Of course, at that age, this was way before the internet was as big as it was. So like an 18-year-old didn't really have any money or capital. So I had to like go to YouTube University, learn how to do graphics. And what that led me to do is make party flyers, then make designs. And then that eventually led me into e-commerce, where I started doing clothes, building a clothing brand. And I did that for 10 years. So here's the thing, how this relates to entrepreneurship is I had developed a super strong skill that helped me be able to create a lot of things for my business that I didn't have to outsource. But that skill set that was super important was in the wrong vehicle. So I always say it's really important to find the right vehicle for your skill. So what I mean by that was there was a point in time where like multiple things started happening. This was like post-COVID. This was a recession coming in, people holding their money. Facebook algorithm had changed with the way the ads were working. And one of my favorite books is Who Moved My Cheese. So you can either like stay there and say it's going to come back, or you can like pivot. And sometimes so many people are scared to pivot and make changes. But what that did was my revenue completely changed. It dropped. Money got extremely tight. I was, stressed, and I had to like pivot. So I started trying different things out. And I always say the worst thing to do when you're down is not be around, right?
That's a good one.
Yeah. So what I mean by that, a lot of times when we're down, business isn't going right, we're broke at the moment, whatever, we want to stay at home and sulk, right? So I always believed in my skill sets, what I had to offer. So my friend Justin Phillips, big in the digital space, has a free training with e-commerce. He invited me, said I had a free ticket to the Circular CEOs conference. So I was like, all right, cool, let's pull up. And I had made Justin's funnel. He had did a big joint venture with Ellie Diop, and that funnel got a lot of traction. Well, I went to the conference with him and I met one of my current clients, Will Rivera. I hadn't met him, but we like reconnected.
Right.
And then he was like, "Oh, you do funnels?" And then so what happened was he had like an outsourced person, because a lot of times with funnel builders, they're like outsourced, like somewhere you find on Fiverr or Upwork. So I was like, yeah, I could take over the funnels you do for your clients. And then what happened was, since Will is like $10 million year revenue type of client, he has big clients. So I started building relationships with the clients in his webinar offer called Modern Day MBA. And then now I instantly went from being down, being an e-commerce clothing person, to being a person, a freelancer that was working with a lot of big names because I was around. And then what happened was I was giving like super high quality, because most funnels are clunky, ugly, scammy looking. Mine were giving a different look that was very presentable, looked really good, and was eye catching. So then literally within about 6 months, my life went from being a guy in the warehouse that was just like pressing t-shirts, working really hard, to now I still work really hard, but it's like remote work, and it's a way more high in demand skill set for high level entrepreneurs. So now what happened was, what I had to look at was, I was like, man, when I'm doing clothes, I just kept like always losing all my money. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Because it's a lot of moving pieces. But with the funnels, what happened was, it's more like labor intensive, of course, but a lot of people are anxious. But what happened was my vehicle was different, because I was monetizing people's offers.
Right.
So now what changed was I turned into, hey, I need this or whatever, here's $1,500 if you could get it done. You see what I'm saying? And then that's just what literally completely changed everything for me. And that's just the direction I'm in now.
I love it, man. That's impactful. And I want to go back and make sure the audience understands something that Tony said that is so critical. And it's about being around, right? And identifying who's around you and who are you directly connected to that could take your life to the next level just based on an opportunity. And I always say, like, we're all one opportunity from the place that we're supposed to be in this lifetime.
Mm.
And for you, it was taking that moment to go to the Circle of CEOs event and actually just making connections, right? So shout out to Justin. I love Justin. I met him here in LA at
Yeah.
Jalil's event, and yeah, man, he's like brilliant. I'm like, where'd you come from? And give me some of that juice. So
Mm.
shout out to him for sure, and Ellie. So yeah, that's super dope. So now getting into the space of actually building funnels and learning the high level skill set, were you still going on YouTube University to find this out, or did you take a course? Like, how did you go about learning how to create a funnel?
Yeah, so I think what we go through in life is, a lot of times people, like parents could be like, "Oh, I just hate that you wasted so much time doing that didn't work." But everything's a building block, because what I learned from the t-shirt space was like operations, and having to have like a conveyor belt of processes to get the final product done. T-shirts went from design to, materials, to print, to packaging, to shipping. So with this, it was like you got ClickFunnels, which was a high in demand service that was needed for high level entrepreneurs, but the web design interface was extremely simple. So it's not that the ClickFunnels is super difficult to make, but it is tedious. So I was able to bring the tediousness of the e-com space, which gave me the patience to build these people's funnels out. But really what set me apart was that strong design element that I had. So the fact that it worked in blocks, and it was able to have like big headers, just like when I was making party flyers and everything. The reason why I was able to bring that original skill set over to here and set myself apart to become high in demand, because people were like, how are his funnels looking like that? But it was really the design aspect that
Right.
took me off. So yeah, that's pretty much how, just all that changed for
Right.
me.
Yeah. And then I love that the design element is the thing that sets you apart. It's
Hmm.
almost that moment of like, anyone can have the blueprint, but people are going to shop with you because of who you are and that one thing that makes you unique. And so for you, having the background, like you said, in graphic design is just a skill set that helped you to get to this point and work with high level entrepreneurs that really need this, funnel in their lives to make their business better. So that's dope. And then for your clients that you're seeing, right, what's the number one goal that they have when it comes to creating a funnel to increase their capacity in their business? Like, what's the number one goal? Is it
Yeah.
marketing, or is it getting leads, or a little bit of both?
So it's definitely conversions. So when I say conversions, it's leads and of course revenue, right? So another thing that I would say from being around was me and Justin actually started digital in 2020 together. He took off faster in digital, and I was kind of just seeing everything analytical, right? So, one of the biggest things in the funnel space, and webinars are humongous in the funnel space, is psychology. So, also, that was another skill that I had learned during the process because I did webinars myself, failed really bad, and then I had to figure out why. But there's a certain psychology that you have to understand, and it's called like sales psychology for webinars and how to convert clients, how to get them to do that. So also what I was able to tap into with my funnels was building around the psychology of what's going to make a customer convert, whether that is signing up for the lead or whether that is, during the webinar, taking their card out, typing the information in exchange for your product or service that you're offering.
Mm-hmm.
So the fact that I did that also set me apart from a lot of other funnel builders, because a normal funnel builder, maybe on Fiverr or Upwork, is just kind of just going to build a framework and say, here you go. Right. But if you can understand the building the funnel with the background and foundation of it being the strong sales psychology to help convert those clients over, those leads over, then it really sets the funnel apart. So quick example, a lot of people who do webinars have a high ticket offer on the back end. So simple change, but it was just understanding the normal psychology of how a normal person thinks, and then looking at the shoes of my client who's trying to make money. So what they do is they usually have an order confirmation page that says, thank you for your purchase, all of that type of stuff. Here's the next steps. Check your email. And at the bottom, they had a link that will say, work with Justin, work with Patrick, work with Will. So what I did to change that up, because I understood that a lot of times the profit's not all really made just on the front end. The front end is the client intake. The profit was made on the high ticket offer on the back. I switched the funnel up to where after they purchased, the calendar pops up like a one-time upsell that says like step 2. So it'll say step 1, enroll, and it'll be checked off as completed. Step 2, schedule your free strategy call. And it'll have like a big headline that's prompting them to schedule it. So we just had a customer that had his first webinar yesterday. He had 10 sales on it. And he was like, bro, I had 10 out of 10 book calls.
Nice.
You see what I'm saying? So if the money is made on the back end, and now that he has 10 out of 10 calls, just because the way I understood the psychology to set that funnel up, now I'm helping my client have a higher probability of getting that high ticket offer on the back.
Yeah, I love that. I love that because sales is psychology. And I see you have the 10X rule, book by Grant Cardone, right behind you.
Oh, yeah.
I literally just started Sell or Be Sold.
Mm-hmm.
And I know it's a quite old book, but I was watching an interview, or actually he was speaking. It wasn't an interview. He was speaking somewhere on YouTube, and this was 10 years ago. And I was like, again, because right now, social media, people think that the $1 million entrepreneurs were built overnight for whatever reason. So to see him 10 years ago talking about selling strategy, and it's really about psychology when it comes down to it, like the game hasn't changed. Like that's still true today, is the psychology of people. And so diving into that a little bit deeper, because I think it's quite interesting, the psychology of a funnel. When I log in or see a funnel from someone, whether it's on Instagram or Facebook or email, sometimes funnels have a lot of copy, right? Mm-hmm. There's a lot of stuff to read, and I'll hear people be like, I'm not going to read all of that. And then I hear other people or funnel builders say, well, the people who really want it will read it. So in your opinion, Tony, what's important for an entrepreneur to have in terms of information that goes in a funnel, and what's just, in your opinion, that you found just not needed?
Yeah, so I think one thing that I see a lot in the funnel in the digital space is a lot of entrepreneurs in this space they copy each other, right? So which Russell, who started ClickFunnels, promotes funnel hacking. And what I notice is they kind of just think that the next person, what he's doing is correct. everyone's offer is going to be completely different, right? So you have to look at one, what are you selling and who's your audience? So then what you have to look at is, yes, there's a lot of copy on the pages and that was stolen because Russell does that. But I look at it like this. I'll look at someone like maybe my wife or maybe a friend who's completely not in this space and I listen to certain things they say. They'll be like, oh, when I see a page with a lot of writing, it seems scammy to me. So what I do is what I notice is a lot of my friends in the webinar space, sometimes they get lost in the clouds of digital and they forget how a normal person is and how a normal person thinks. Most of the time, a normal person is shopping on Shopify sites like, let's say, Fashion Novas, Nikes, all of that. So when you come to our world in digital, what we have to be reminded of is don't get lost in the digital space. Think about who your customer still is and how they're thinking. So the biggest thing to focus on is not just a bunch of coffee, but coffee to focus on is your is your headline and making sure that it's hitting pain points and emotional points. That's the strongest thing, because when you get there, you want to be able to have a headline that presents the issue that they may be going through and then touch on the solution that your funnel may serve them to help fix. So when I say with copy, if it makes sense, yes, but the biggest elements are just how do we convert the customer over? So if too much copy distracts from getting them to go to the next phase of the funnel, we need to reduce that. And another thing, one of the biggest parts of your funnel is the above the fold area. So a tactic of where that long form copy comes in at, and it's probably being incorrectly used, not in a malicious way, people just don't understand, is some people create long form funnels where, of course, above the fold, which means as soon as you log in on your phone or your computer, everything above until you have to scroll. That's the most important area that we want people to take action at. Some people make long form funnels that have different elements as they're scrolling to get the customer to convert. So that is a strategy in itself, but if it's used wrong, you can accidentally have a funnel that just has way too much text on it. And then people just feel like it's a scam and a website from the early 2000s. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah.
Because some of them that I've seen, that it actually is my first thought where I'm like, is this legit?
Right. Yeah. Are going to be safe on here. You know what I mean?
I'm like, who has time to write all of this? I mean, now with ChatGPT and AI, which I want to get into, it's a whole different ballgame. So maybe they didn't have to take too much time to do it. So speaking of ChatGPT and AI, what are some of your thoughts on utilizing these programs and or not utilizing them when it comes to copying your funnels and grabbing customers' attention? Like, what's your thoughts?
Yeah, so I think Chat GPT and AI is amazing. And what I think that because I use it all the time, I think the narrative of it is a little off when people are thinking that it's going to replace people. I think AI, and not saying that it one day won't, but the thing that AI does best is help you think faster. So for me, I look at it like if I'm building out your funnel, of course, you're the final person to say how you want your copy. But what it can help me do is write product descriptions better, write email confirmation emails better and faster. Sometimes what I'll even do is write my own and then put it in Chat GPT to have it clean it up. I even use Chat GPT for my podcast to get questions, you know what I'm saying? So like I said, it's not made to replace, but it's made to help you think faster. And I definitely think anybody, who's working on anything that includes data or, typing things out, definitely use it to like help speed your process up. So I'm not against it at all. I don't think that it just is going to completely just replace people's jobs all out, because you have to still understand your client, their voice, and their ultimate goal. So you'll take the information from Chat GPT and then just refine it so that it matches your client's voice.
Right. Yeah, and I'm the same. I'm being shoot. I was like, this is game right here. This is gold, because as someone who sits here and I write my own emails and I write my own captions on Instagram, I'm like, it takes so much time to even put a video together. Never mind then think of the caption. That when ChatGPT became a thing, I was like, you know what? How do I make this work for me versus taking on the narrative that everyone has that it's not a good thing and people are losing their jobs behind it? But I mean, I speak elegant Ebonics, in my opinion, because I text so much improper English that ChatGPT allows me to put together, like you said, an email that actually communicates well, or a caption that communicates well. And I think that's important, especially for anyone who's struggling to get the right words together, and then just add your own sauce on it. But time is of the essence. If it's going to save you time, why not, right? So instead of 3 hours on a funnel, you've knocked that down to an hour and a half max.
Exactly.
So if y'all don't know, Chat GPT is the way. They need an affiliate link. So
Yep, all that.
Dope. So again, on funnels, the other thing I wanted to talk about, and let me know what your thoughts are on this strategy. I see some funnels that go directly to the actual funnel page, walk you through the process. And then there are others that capture the data beforehand. Before you can even see what's going on behind the curtain, they're taking.
Yeah. So I definitely think that it's really important that you capture, the information on the front end or whatever, just because that's what separates it apart from, being a normal website. Well, one of the things. So, of course, in it, like I said, it depends on strategy, but I think collecting leads is more important than getting the initial sale. And then coming from an e-commerce background, that's what the data just shows, that getting the lead is more important, because most people that come to me to run Facebook ads, or they say, hey, I've got a Shopify site, and I don't run ads for Shopify anymore. I'm just laser focused on digital, but they'll say my site's not converting. The reason why their site's not converting is because they're running ads with no real psychology of what makes somebody want their product. Because what makes us want their product is influence, seeing other people wear it, whether it's an influencer or a friend, and presenting the value. And then they're landing directly on the sale page, and you're expecting people to buy just because of the work that you put in to make this funnel or write this book. So ebooks were really doing great during like 2020, like when we were just all quarantined and stuff. But now if you just run ads just to land on an ebook, it doesn't really perform that well. So the data shows that you do better by getting the lead. Like, so if Stizzo comes to my site, she was obviously probably interested in whatever the topic is. That doesn't mean that she was ready to purchase. She didn't see the value off rip, but I can nurture you over multiple weeks and hang out in your email inbox to where we've now built some type of relationship where you know about me, what I do, and what I offer. So now in my emails, when I'm directing you back to buying whatever that product was, if it was an ebook or whatever, now you're way more inclined, because I've been micro nurturing you over time, and you're like, I need what they have. You see what I'm saying? So I would say, to answer your question, I would prefer the lead over the initial hopefulness of a purchase.
That's good. If y'all didn't catch that, or you just got on this podcast right now, because we are a live show, I need you to go rewind, start the episode from the beginning, but definitely catch that part, because I don't know how many people actually think about the process in that way. And it's so key, because it's about how many conversations you can have. It's about the input, right? So if you're gaining more leads by utilizing your funnel versus worrying about the sale, you're essentially warming that person up, because we know it takes what, 5 to 7, at least 5 to 7 touch points before we get someone's trust to buy. So that's genius. I'm going to actually have to keep that note in my head and utilize that strategy, because to your point, sometimes we think, all right, we just did this ebook, we want everyone to buy the book right away. And then some of us who are entrepreneurs trying to get to the 6, 7, 8 figures, if we're not thinking about the long term and we're thinking about right now, we miss the entire point, which is gaining more leads. So that was gold. That was gold.
What I see a lot is entitlement, right? And it's non-malicious entitlement. What happens, the thing that I see the most, whether it was e-com, but even in this space right here, is the fact that you understand your offer. You got to think, like we just said, how many touch points have you personally had with your offer? Many. So what happens is they say, I put an ebook together, I put a training program together, I paid to get this funnel completed. Like, I did this. So you're expecting that if someone comes to my site, that they must, or they're required to shop with you or purchase your product, service, or training. That's not the case. We have to go back to what I said, that natural point of when you go into a mall, what makes you, purchase something. So here's a great analogy, actually. All right, when you're going to buy a car, right? Imagine like you're going with your spouse or whoever. You're already kind of like, this may be expensive. I hope I don't get messed up, but you are interested in buying a car. So now that you show up at the car dealership, you're in another part of the funnel, but that doesn't mean that you're going to buy a car with them today. You're just a hot lead. You're warm, but the only way they can get you to go home with that car today is to present the value to you that makes it make sense to why this is a good deal. Because you could go to GM, you can go to Chevy, you can go to Mercedes, you may be car shopping that day, but what is that car lot going to do to earn your business? So we got to think about our sales funnel and our sales process that same exact way. Yes, you did the work to have an infrastructure for people to come check you out, window shop with you. Yes, they're interested, which is why the lead is important. But how are you going to present the value to where it's an irresistible offer to make them exchange their money for your product or service?
Yes. Perfect analogy. I think that's spot on. I hit it on the head. Wow, this is a lot of good information. I'm excited. I'm excited because I have yet to create my first funnel. And Brendan told me 2 years ago, you need to get this funnel done. And I'm still 2 years later, like, because I had that mindset of being so skeptical because of what I was seeing and being like, I don't want people to think I'm trying to scam them to buy A, B, and C. But this is very helpful. In terms of percentage wise, right? What do you think is the percentage value in terms of people seeing more success who have a funnel versus those who don't?
I would just say it's speed, right? Mm-hmm. So I was reading like Alex Hormozy's book, and he was like, one of the fastest ways to one of the best ways to sell people is, of course, by like price and speed. So people are always trying to save time. And then you hear a lot of times that like the more successful people are, they actually value their time more than they value their money. So the issue with the website is, like I said from the beginning, let's just say, okay, I just moved to a new house and I saw that like some of the neighbors have these picket signs in their yard that says who did their accent lighting for their home. Well, I went to his website. I looked at some examples. I saw this, I saw that. And the only way that I can move forward is by literally clicking the contact button and like sending an email of what I wanted to tell them. But imagine I went to the website and it actually, like, we set it up with strategy where it was like a type form or something, or some type of way to qualify that says, hello, did you just move to your first or next home? Are you looking for lighting? Yes or no? And I clicked yes, typed my information in, did, what type of lighting I wanted. So now what happens is, whether I finish that form or not, one, they got a lead of someone who was interested because I at least started the thing. But then also for the other side, I also had the opportunity to qualify them to see, one, how much money they're willing to spend, what type of lighting. So now when I call them, and let's say it was Stizzo as my example, I call you, say, hey, Stizzo, I see that you just moved to a new house. You're interested in, accent lighting on the front, the back, and the side of your house. Should we have a appointment where we can come out in the next 48 hours if you're available? So it's like, it's speed. And that's kind of what the funnel's helping us do. So as long as we can get traffic to our funnel, then the funnel is going to do more for us and give us more value than just our traditional website.
Love that. You got the great analogies, man. Because I could picture that whole process of sending an email, waiting for it to come back, then corresponding what you need because they need more details from your original email. So that's perfect. And now, what is like? So say I'm ready to go. I want to start, get my first funnel off the ground. What's the average cost for a funnel? Like, do I need to have a lot of money to put into this? Can I start small? Give us some information on how we can go about getting a funnel done.
Yeah, so I wouldn't say they're cheap, but I wouldn't say they're expensive either when you look at the value. So a basic lead generation funnel, $1,500. And the way we look at them in a webinar funnel, which has a lot more pages, like usually up to 9 pages, $2,500. But we're not really building websites. We're building systems. So that's the difference. We're building, infrastructure of inflow that also has different automation trigger points to work for you, whether you're on vacation, sleep, sick, or just can't get to work today. The issue with, like I said, with normal websites is, let's say someone says, I can go on Fiverr and spend $300, $500. You're getting a page at that point, right? That's, like I said, a glorified business card. But how much do you value your time, and what type of price tag would you put on that, so that if Stizzo is out right now, or she's, just needs a day off, she's enjoying time with her family, that when somebody, like in that analogy I use, sending that lead for that accent lighting, it's already triggering, sending them notifications and communications that go along with what they want, so that you don't have to manually do that. So ultimately, that's what we're doing with these funnels. So that's why they start at that price point of like 1,500, because it's pretty much working for you. It's pretty much having a virtual salesperson that's working for you 24/7, doesn't get tired, and can answer the questions for you even in the middle of the night.
Love that. Great way to describe it. And in terms of the actual information that someone needs, do they need a domain for their page? Do they need to have their ebook ready, or their webinar information? What do they need to get it started?
So yeah, once you sign on, we onboard you, pretty much walk you through the whole process. I would say this, yes, we can build you a funnel if you don't have anything, but it takes way more time. It's a lot better if you already know what your offer is, and then we can come in and optimize that so that it works better. So for instance, if you already have a free webinar training and you want us to help you increase leads, super simple for us to come in, build you a funnel within 3 weeks. Same thing for if you have like an ebook or something like that. If you come to us and you say, hey, this is what I want to do, say we finish the infrastructure in a week and a half, 2 weeks, it's really sitting on ice until you give us the product to sell. So if that makes sense, I hope that helps.
That was perfect. So basically, Tony's like, get your stuff together before you come over. We're not gonna coach you and create the funnel. We need you to know what you want to sell.
Exactly.
I love that, Tony. Man, this was great. Let everybody know where they can find you if they're interested in learning more about how to work with you on their funnels and get hooked up.
Yeah, so you guys can find me everywhere at Tuned In Tony. That's TUNEDINTONY. Definitely on YouTube, post a lot of content there. Follow me on Instagram. All the links are in my bio, where you can literally schedule your appointment, get your free consultation, and then hopefully we can get your first or next funnel started for you.
Amazing. Make sure y'all lock in with Tony. Go get your funnels done. Get more leads to get more money. I love it. Tony, this was great. Thank you for being here. Y'all, this is another episode of the Imperfect Action Show. We talk to 6, 7, 8-figure entrepreneurs, and we had an amazing time with Tony. If you're just getting here, go on and rewind the episode. Go watch it. If you've been here, go rewatch it. Write down all the notes that you forgot and go get this money. Thank you, Tony. Have an amazing day.
All right.